Building an off-grid cabin in a remote location with no water or electric hookups nearby isn't everyone's dream. It's ours, though. Finding the right location was not easy. My dream was to be surrounded by large red or white pine trees, which do exist on this property. Cory had a few locations in mind as well, near the swamp or on a hill where you can see a remote, undeveloped pond in the distance. We decided to be near the swamp. The pine tree locations had dense undergrowth, which would make it tough to see out into the forest. I wanted to have a view. The pond view would mess with deer hunting strategy, and the swamp would be nice and cool the air, acting as air conditioning in the summer. We had to remove brush and cut a rotten tree stump down, but within a weekend we were able to build the base of the cabin. 6x6 post foundation building doesn't require flattening the earth for the base of the cabin. The wood foundation is actually made of lumber from Cory's brother's sawmill. We used the four-wheeler and the trailer to get materials to the build site. Building the foundation made the cabin feel real. I could already imagine how the interior would look and feel. It's not a huge cabin, it's small and quaint by design. We used Reflectix under our floor for insulation. Eventually, we would actually add another layer of Reflectix under our board foundation as well, with a gap of air in between. We used a type of tongue and groove plywood that fits together as our floor. At first, I imagined this would be our finished interior floor. We have since decided to install floorboards over the top of that. I think it will be lovely. Cory's brother is sawing, drying, and preparing that lumber for the floor at his sawmill operation. He's also going to be making our tongue and groove walls, which will be so pretty. Anyway, installing the plywood floor was so satisfying in the end, but quite frustrating in the process. It was tough to get the plywood pieces to fit together perfectly. It took 4 of us. We tried to protect the floor that we worked so hard to put together from the rain with tarps. That didn't work. What happened was the water got under the tarps and ended up getting trapped and staying wet. This altered the color of the plywood. That's okay though. We measured all of our windows for the cabin, many of which we actually purchased at an auction. One I got for free on the side of the road, and a couple we bought new. We framed the walls around our windows and sliding glass door. We used many windows because we want to use as little energy as possible to light the cabin and to feel bright and open. And we have windows to open for breezes on a warm, sunny day. With such a small cabin, we aren't worried about heating it so much and losing heat through the windows. Once framed walls were up, we began roof and exterior wall construction. The wall sheeting is T111, which is plywood that is pretty for the exterior of the cabin, and it fits together tongue and groove style as well. Under that plywood sheeting is foam boards that we also bought from an auction. We will be installing fiberglass insulation inside of the foam too, so it will be cozy. The stain on the siding was a little orange for my taste at first, but it has grown on me. The roof is metal and will be insulated with fiberglass. Cory's dad helped install the roof on a weekend when I wasn't able to join. Cutting out the window holes from the plywood and installing windows was even more satisfying than the plywood floor install. We drilled holes in the corners where the windows would fit, then used a jigsaw to cut out the whole window hole. A bit of flashing tape and caulk later, we had windows. It was tricky to install the ones that were higher off the ground, but they're worth it. These 2 are my favorites. At this point, it really began to look and feel like a cabin, but it was such a mess on the inside all the time, so we started tidying up. We built a bed so we could stay in the cabin, and we also finally got our lovely, lovely wood stove. I think it's so beautiful. It took us some time to figure out exactly how we wanted to put the piping together to pipe it outside. We ended up doing two 45-degree angles, and now we have our stove and stovepipe and are able to warm the cabin. It gets quite warm. It'll get much warmer when we fully insulate the cabin, which is what we're going to work on next. We've put up a few of the internal framed walls. We plan to do a bathroom with a shower. We're going to have a water catchment system to catch rainwater and to be able to take a nice shower. We have a composting toilet set up, which will go in the bathroom as well, and we will have a sink to be able to wash our hands. It's going to feel very nice with the tongue and groove walls and the hardwood floor. Our closet will have space for utilities for the cabin, such as a water pump and electrical box. It'll also have space for storage for some of our activities and clothes for when we're staying at the cabin. Currently, we store our bedding underneath the bed in a tote, so we don't have to transport it back and forth. Nora and Ethan also have their lofts. They're really for everybody, but we do call them Nora's loft and Ethan's loft. The little one is beautiful with big bright windows and a cute little rug, and there's a tote for the bedding there as well. The other loft is bigger and it's a little more cave-like with just a small window. Here we will likely have a double bed and a twin bed or two twin beds so that there's space for multiple people. We will build ladders into our construction. Those aren't up yet because we need to put our tongue and groove wall on and locate exactly where we want each step to be. So for now, we use ladders to get into the lofts. We built Nora a beautiful little railing so that it's less likely to fall out of the loft. We chose to go with a sliding glass door because we wanted to have air, movement, and light coming in through our doorway instead of a dark block on the wall that opens and closes. So far, we really like it. Eventually, we will also put a deck out the front of the cabin, potentially building it around this tree depending on how healthy the tree seems. You can look out at the swamp. It's far enough away, but it does actually give a nice cool breeze, even on really hot days. Surrounding the cabin is a forest with beautiful trees, lots of different kinds of trees. There are deer and bear on this property. There are probably lots of other little animals that we don't always see, but we do see squirrels, we see chipmunks, we see pheasants, we see grouse. Actually, I don't know if I've seen a pheasant here. There are lakes nearby and we can hear loons at night. Sometimes you can see northern lights, not from the cabin because of all the trees, but away from the cabin where you can see farther into the north sky. Sometimes there are northern lights dancing. It feels magical, and as much as I'm excited to finish the cabin and have it beautifully done with our interior wood finishes and a countertop for the kitchen, maybe a futon in the living room, I really am enjoying the process, and I wouldn't want to wish it away too quickly because it's been so much fun to build this cabin for our family, and we've already spent a lot of time in it. Like I said, we're still working on the floorboards and the tongue and groove, and the parts that we need to form the tongue and groove the way we want it to be are on back order. With supply chain issues, we don't know when we will actually get those pieces and when we will actually be able to install those parts of our cabin. So we're not letting it hold us back from spending time here as a family. And it's just one of those places that I know we will have memories for forever. I look forward to sharing the rest of the build and the journey ahead with you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, that you're having a good one.